Enormous news today for the Tyranids. We've got the new Codex release, Combat Patrol set revealed, and entire range of new models going up for pre-order. Looks like it's going to be a good September to be a bug. Hello and welcome back to Horsepex Tactics, where today we're talking Tyranids, and in this video I thought we'd take a quick look at Games Workshop's Tyranid range, including the Codex release, some surprise new data cards, and a Combat Patrol set. A lot of this was maybe a little bit questionable as to whether or not it was coming. I was really quite interested to see how Games Workshop would handle the release of the 40k codexes. First up, I would say it's a slight surprise that the Tyranids have come up this early. Games Workshop had them build for autumn on their release schedule, which technically doesn't really start until the 23rd of September, so I was expecting kind of a mid to late September release for these guys, and not to have them announced in August. I guess Games Workshop's release schedules don't always go to plan. I understand that they've had some issues with some of their other releases though, so maybe that's why the Tyranids might have been pushed forward a little bit. It's certainly no bad news for 40k fans to get the first codex of the new edition a little bit early. In previous editions, a lot of the first codexes are pretty much released in tandem, maybe not literally on the same weekend, but very close to each other. It does look like Tyranids are perhaps going to significantly precede the Space Marines if they haven't even had their new miniatures revealed yet. So I guess that means that Oghram campaign results was genuinely quite a meaningful thing, and it's actually perhaps led to the Tyranids having their release early, getting some brand new bioforms before whatever the Space Marines are supposed to get, which Games Workshop sound like they're going to be teasing on Thursday. In any case though, for the new Codex release wave for the Tyranids, it looks like we've got the new Codex, including a limited edition one, some data cards, and some faction dice. Literally all the new miniature releases, which they teased at that Oghram preview, the new Biovore, the various flavours of Swarms and Lictors, plus the Norn Emissary. And perhaps the most surprising thing about this entire release is the new Combat Patrol set for the Tyranids, as it looks like you actually are going to be able to buy that as just one individual box now. All of this should be going up for pre-order on Saturday the 2nd of September, and then Saturday the 9th of September should be the actual release day, when actual stores will have physical copies in their stock. In any case, let's go through bit by bit, talk through the Combat Patrol and the Tyranid forces. First up, we've got the Tyranids Combat Patrol though. This one is the exact same one as they've already got already basically, that you can build out of the 40k starter sets. In this one we've got the Wings Prime, the Psychophage, 2 units of 10 Termagants that are the monopose ones with just the Flesh Borers, 5 Barbgorns and 3 Von Ryan's Leapers. It's basically some of the sprues out of Leviathan. I guess it is kind of handy to be able to get your hands on the entire Tyranids Combat Patrol in just one box set, but if Games Workshop do price this the same amount as they have done with all the other Combat Patrols, I think it's very unlikely that they don't. And in theory this will be a worse deal than getting the 40k starter set and combining it with a set of Barbgorns, as that's what you can do at the moment to make the regular Combat Patrol set. That would cost you £92.50 and would get you a whole bunch of Space Marines included, where this one would cost £95 if it is priced in line with the other Combat Patrol boxes. So if that does turn out to be the case, then basically this is a box that you never ever want to pick up. We won't 100% know if that's going to be the case until Games Workshop release their official prices. I will try and make a follow-up video as to the prices of all these releases tomorrow. But if this one is priced in line with the other Combat Patrol sets, then this would kind of be redundant. Maybe a similar sort of offering to the Necron Warriors how they were in 9th edition, where it never really made sense to pick them up compared with buying the Recruit box set. I still think it won't really be a particularly feels-bad purchase to a Tyranid player. Compared with quite a lot of Combat Patrol box sets out there, you still would get a fair amount of pretty cool plastic, and all really quite recent miniatures as well. I suppose one disadvantage is that the Termagants are going to be monopose, so they'd be strictly inferior to the ones that get special weapons included, as I guess they're all going to be free now. Overall, kind of mixed feelings about this one. I guess it's not particularly exciting if it's directly less than what we had already with the 40k starter sets plus a Barbgorns box, but even despite them, it's not actually the worst deal in the world. Just might be a little bit of a deceptive product that might slightly deceive people who are newer to the faction and pick it up, when in reality you'd get the same miniatures for less if you bought them in a slightly different way. Otherwise, perhaps the other really big news is that Codex Tyranids is out. It looks like this one's got the exact same appearance to the 9th edition Codex pretty much. Sadly no new art for this one, which is a little bit disappointing maybe. It does look very similar in appearance and might not be easy to tell them apart at first glance, say if you're trying to buy them second-hand online or something. The Codex is 120 pages in length, and Games Workshop have given us a short breakdown of the contents of it, so we've got a rough sort of idea as to what to expect, though we did know pretty well already. In the book, there's going to be 47 datasheets, which I think makes sense compared with the 44 that they have currently. I guess if that's right, then they wouldn't remove any, but just add new ones for the Neurolictor, Norn Emissary, and the Norn Assimilator. I don't believe that they're getting any other new units, all the rest of them are just direct upgrades and replacements to the ones that we had already. This is also the first confirmation of the numbers of detachments in a Tyranid Codex. There's going to be 6 of them apparently. They previously hinted that there's going to be a monster-themed one and an infiltration swarm-themed one, plus no doubt the standard invasion swarm-themed one, so that'll be 3 more that we don't know of yet. In addition, the only other thing that they mention is Crusade content. I'm sure there'd be all the normal lore and miniature galleries, and I believe that they previously said that there'd be Combat Patrol in there as well, though that's already freely available to download online. Really looking forward to them actually giving us some teasers of the rules of this thing. Hopefully they'll tell us some juicy details on all the detachments. I'll try and cover any news that we get as it comes out and review the codex in full once we get it. One question that I believe that we were awaiting an answer for is whether or not they were going to still have datasheet cards available for new codexes when they came out. The ones that came out at the start of 10th edition were kind of popular with just having tactile reference sheets to hand that are quite useful for just bringing along the ones that are relevant to your own units rather than going through the PDF document. And I think that it's probably quite positive news that Games Workshop have released those alongside the Tyranid Codex as well, though they have branded them just as datasheet cards, so it's just the actual unit rules as opposed to the entire contents of the codex. It doesn't look like you'd get any detachments in this, at least judging by the name. I feel like having the release of these is at least fairly positive, as they are kind of handy to have by the side of the table just for quick reference, saves thumbing through a PDF or searching through it. I feel like these genuinely will be quite popular just as a convenience thing. Hopefully they manage to actually make them so they do actually mirror the codex rules and don't need a whole load of FAQs or updates this time around. I guess the main bad news is that it does underline that the index-free rules are going away. They do say in the article that these cards supersede the index cards available online, so I guess no more free rules for Tyranids, and the same will happen to each 40k codex as it comes out. Besides perhaps the most exciting bits of the miniatures, we've got a limited edition codex and some Tyranid dice as well. The limited edition codexes do tend to sell out really quite quickly. Some people enjoy the fancy artwork, though I've never really had that much favour for them myself. It looks like the Tyranids dice set is the standard issue one with 16 of them in the box. I do perhaps have a bit more time for them as they do look kind of cool, but they are definitely priced in line with the rest of Games Workshop's offerings, far more expensive than you might get dice elsewhere. Finally, listing through the miniatures briefly, and I'll hopefully follow this up with their prices in a video tomorrow. We've got the Norn Emissary and the Norn Assimilator, dual build kits of the new Tyranid Big Bad. The Norn Emissary is the one with the Psychic, and the Assimilator is the one without. It seems that their lore is that they're just generally dispatched to hunt down one key individual or fortification or war machine that the hive mind really doesn't like. Seems they might be a similar sort of monster to a Tyrannifex or perhaps slightly bigger in weight class. Hopefully they'll give them some big punchy and fairly effective rules on the table. Besides that, we've got 3 variants of Lictors. There's nothing to hint that they're the same kit from these guys, though I suppose we'll have to wait and see for the prices and release numbers. The different Lictor variants are Death Leaper, a regular Lictor, and a Neurolictor. Seems that Games Workshop are going quite down the stealth route for the Tyranids at the moment, between these and the Von Ryan's Leapers, perhaps partly due to their infiltration form detachment formation that's coming out alongside the Codex. We'll be interested to see what the Neurolictor can do. They could write some really quite fun rules for it. Hopefully it just won't be all revolving around Battle Shock. Then we've got the dual build kit for the Biovore or Pyrovore. Looks like it comes with 3 attendant Spore Mines as well. I feel like it's quite a nice upgrade on the previous one aesthetics wise, and it's quite nice to get that rescued from fine cast resin and not have it go to Legends. There's 2 new boxes for Termagants and Hormagaunts as well. The Termagant one has the extra selling feature of special weapons in the unit now, as well as looking like they've got the options for things like Devourers, Spine Fists or Flesh Borers. They've got things like Spike Rifles and Biocannons as weapons within the unit, and it looks like you can equip all of them. On the one hand, I do think it's kind of fun that Termagants get some special weapons thrown in. It does kind of bring a bit more parity with a lot of other factions in Warhammer 40k, but on the other hand, it maybe does feel like a little bit of a sales gimmick. It means that anyone who's bought Termagants beforehand will now have a strictly suboptimal unit, as the way that Games Workshop does points is that all the new gear is free. I guess probably wouldn't be too hard to kit bash a few fancy guns for Termagants within the unit though, I suppose. The Hormagaunts otherwise I think are just really quite nice new sculpts. Hopefully they might fall over a little bit less than the previous ones. And it looks like there's 10 of them in the box set alongside a Ripper swarm now. I don't believe that they used to be packaged with Rippers before. Finally, we've got the new incarnation of the Gene Stealers. These guys again I think are looking pretty nice, really quite a lot more fluid and in motion and with slightly different poses compared with the previous kit that was certainly showing its age. Otherwise though, maybe similar to the Termagants and Hormagaunts, not really any too major changes to the aesthetic, more than just adding a bit more motion to them, and it looks like you do have the option to give them all feeder tendril heads if you'd like to. Otherwise, perhaps the only other big questions for the Tyranids are what's happening to the other units out of Leviathan that haven't yet gotten a release announced yet. There'd be the Neurotyrant, Neurogaunts, and the Screamer Killer. I was kind of expecting that they might be released alongside this wave, but looks like they're not at the moment. I wonder if they might turn up as a bit of a combined offering like the Chaos Space Marine Warp Forged, or things from the Indomitus box from a while back. I guess we'll see on that front, but it would be a shame to be unable to pick up the Neurotyrant for new players who want to, if they weren't able to get their hands on Leviathan. It is really quite a cool model. In any case though, pretty exciting stuff for the Tyranids. Let me know what you make of the new Combat Patrol and the new Codex details down in the comments below. I'll certainly be hoping to follow this up with a few more Tyranids videos over the week. Hopefully Games Workshop give us some rules previews and some prices for these new miniatures coming out. If you'd like to see that, then feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics or check back later. And before I go, I'd just like to mention that the channel does have a Patreon page if you'd like to support and help keep these videos coming. That's linked down in the video description below. Channel patrons do get a few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description below. In any case, an enormous thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.